Hello and welcome to the video portion of our Succulent Pumpkin DIY. We are so excited to hopefully inspire you with this tutorial today. We just want to start out by explaining some of the materials that you might want to use. A lot of this I foraged for or got from floral shops or Michael's. These are wooden flowers. They're so cute and obviously a non-perishable item, which actually a lot of the items are non-perishable. This is, for instance, some dried yarrow, just like a bunch of fall florals, and these are some florals that I just picked from the field. Some of them I have bought or purchased from floral shops, and you can find most of these items at your local floral shops. Here we have some dried eucalyptus. A Floral is also an online shop that you can buy a lot of this from, or as backup, I usually go to Michael's. They have a pretty good selection as well. Next, you want to pick out your succulents, and you can pick out big or small, or you can also find succulent cuttings. Maybe you have some succulents of your own that you can take some cuttings off of. And last, you want to pick out your pumpkins. You can pick out mini pumpkins, gourds, pie pumpkins. Just keep in mind that it's easier to work with the smaller ones. So here we have a pumpkin. We've removed the stem, and we're gonna just start by grabbing some glue. I'm gonna use a hot glue gun and put a generous amount onto the pumpkin. And then we're going to grab some moss. I am going to use Spanish moss and also some reindeer moss. So Spanish moss first. This is creating a base for everything else. So you don't want to put too much on because then it'll just get too big. But I am using about 3 pieces of reindeer moss and then a small section of Spanish moss. Next, we're going to grab our succulent. It's nice to find succulents with a stem. You can see here I'm pulling off the bottom leaves, and actually this is still a little too long, so I'm going to cut it a little shorter and pull off like a few more leaves. And then we're going to apply some glue on the base. And one thing to keep in mind is that this actually isn't going to kill the succulent. In fact, most succulent pumpkins, the pumpkin rots before the succulent even dies. So if you wanted to pull your succulents off once the pumpkin is rotted and you need to throw it away, you could actually pull the glue off of them and repot them as a fun extra tip. So I am just grabbing a few more succulents. I'm going to do 3 total, kind of spreading them out to make room for the other materials that I'm going to be putting in. So just be sure that you're using enough glue, but not over gluing it because it can make it heavy and cause everything to fall off. So next I'm going to take these fun dried berries and just pull off the tiniest little pieces. It's really important to get smaller pieces to work with these succulent pumpkins. You don't want anything that's too large or overpowering on the pumpkin. The succulents themselves are actually fairly large. So you just want to make sure when you're collecting materials to find little dainty dried pieces are my favorite. I'm always foraging for those kinds of things and paying attention and watching at floral shops and stuff. I'm just putting a small amount of glue on each stem, and I'm going to do 3 of them again. And I don't want to overpower it. Here's a close-up again. So next I'm going to take these wooden flowers. I actually got these online from a company called Sola Wood Flowers, and I've included that link in the description along with the other links that you can find a lot of the materials that I used today. I'm grabbing a bigger one, and I'm going to place it kind of right in the middle of the 3 succulents. And then I'm going to take a little smaller one as an accent and place it just next to the larger one. This is going to act kind of as the focal point of my pumpkin. I really love these wood flowers, so I kind of wanted this to be the focal point rather than the succulents, but you can certainly use all succulents on yours. Next, I'm going to fill in with some cute grasses. These are literally just weeds that I found in my ditch. But again, you can find a lot of these little pampas grasses from Michael's and A Floral. I did 2 different kinds here. These are little bunny tails, I believe, the fluffier ones. And I'm just going around and filling in holes and gaps, and I'm doing, again, 3s and 5s and sticking to that rule for design. Here I have some dried yarrow. I actually dried this yarrow myself. I purchased it from a floral shop and then I just hung it to dry. But again, you can buy dried yarrow. And these are also some little bachelor buttons and billy buttons. And I am just taking these and filling in all of the holes. You can use as many different materials as you'd like. I am keeping in a color scheme of orange and yellow and white with a hint of blue. So the last thing that I'm going to add in are some thistles. This is just going to give it that last kind of cute texture that I'm looking for, very fallish and fairly easy to find. So here is my completed pumpkin. Not too hard, it's just kind of a lot of gluing and making sure you kind of get a focal point in there. So I am going to show you one more design here. I'll just let it run in the background as I talk again. Just going through, creating your base, getting your moss on, and then filling in with all of your different materials. So here I'm going to kind of make the succulent the focal point and then fill in with the wooden flowers. So kind of just the opposite of the smaller one that I just did. Some questions I get asked right away is why I don't carve out the pumpkin and then try to get the materials more inside of it. And the quick answer is that the pumpkin is going to rot much more quickly if you do it that way. And it's just not necessary. Like we spoke about before, we aren't looking for the longevity of the succulent. So a lot of people think you have to plant the succulent like inside of the pumpkin and that it needs to get water. And there is zero care for these. Like once you're done, you set it on your table and you just enjoy it. There's nothing to take care of. In fact, putting water on it would only cause the pumpkin to rot quicker. Another tip is if you want your pumpkins to last a little longer, especially if you have them inside, is to wash them with just a little bit of bleach water. That can help the pumpkin stay fresher longer. My last tip is beware of letting them rot on your table. Definitely have done that before. It took the varnish and finish right off. My husband was not happy. But on a happier note, this completes our DIY tutorial of succulent pumpkins. I hope you enjoyed it. These are such a cute project to make for friends, for centerpieces for Thanksgiving, or just a fall project. If you do make some, let me know. Tag me at Preserving the Bloom on Instagram or Facebook. I would love to see your completed succulent pumpkins. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you everyone for viewing.